Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's race day here in Brazil as the Formula College World Championship heads to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace for the running of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Good evening, everybody. I'm Cade Corbin, and I'll be your host for tonight's final race of the Formula College World Championship. This is race number 15, our 7th and last event of the year, which means after tonight, we will have crowned all of our champions for this season. And for most of them, tonight will be nothing but a victory lap, as Muhammad Alif has already clinched the student championship, Clint Halterman has already clinched the alumni championship, Ball State University has already clinched the school championship, and on top of that, Keegan Kallick has clinched Rookie of the Year. So those drivers will be enjoying their evening, celebrating their winnings, but there is still a trophy on the line for the winner here in Sao Paulo. So we'll be bringing you live flag-to-flag coverage of tonight's marathon, one of the longer events on the Formula College schedule, going to give this one a little bit of extra prestige and a little bit of extra meaning behind who can hang on to win this one. Those extra laps are going to be absolutely brutal, and we've seen plenty of late race mistakes, plenty of different times throughout the season, and that could still shake things up. So if we have the opportunity to take a look at the point standings here as they run coming into this race, those top few drivers have already kind of run away with their spots. They've kind of already settled out to where they're going to be, but back in the pack, there are quite a few battles just outside the top 10 or the top 15. So if we have an opportunity to take a look at those, we will. Otherwise, we'll be bringing you live coverage from qualifying here in just a minute. Here they are. This is points after the first 14 races of the season. It has been a long 13 weeks, if you include that Iowa doubleheader there. You see Muhammad Alif has just enough of a gap where if he takes the green flag for tonight's race, he will become a back-to-back champion in the Formula College World. I actually believe 3 times in a row for Alif. Clint Halterman, you see there, big enough gap back to Aiken Lamar. That's how he's locked up that alumni championship. And then Keegan Kallick, sitting 10th right now in the overall points, has a big enough gap on teammate Grant Schiller that he has locked up Rookie of the Year. I believe actually locked that up last week going into Michigan, and then was able to have a pretty solid run to keep himself in the top 10 in the overall spots. You see potential opportunity there for Kallick to move up ahead of Moody, a little bit deeper in the pack. Wallet and Ricky Paz, possibly a chance to jump into the top 10. So we know that both of those drivers are going to be looking for spots. Everybody wants to end on a high note. There is no reason to go out with fizzle. Everybody wants to go out with a little bit of sizzle. And for that reason, I still think we're going to see a great race. You know, points never really something that's too heavy on the minds of these drivers. It's all about this race. It's all about this week. It's been about that the past 14 weeks, and I think that is going to continue today. So as typical, we do have the 105% rule. Every driver must set a single lap in practice or qualifying within 105% of the fastest time. 40 cars will be allowed into the race, and there will be a tire compound swap mandated for the event. So I believe qualifying is underway. Drivers trying to set the fastest lap that they can to determine the starting order for this Brazilian Grand Prix. So if we could get the opportunity to go down trackside here in just a few seconds, we should have some live shots from the virtual track in Sao Paulo. It's a beautiful track. I believe about I may have a graphic for that here, but it's a little bit over 2 miles, around 15 tight turns, including a couple of kinks that string together for a very long back straightaway, leading to a heavy braking zone into turn 1, where I think we'll see a lot of passing. Here is Fiore going through the middle section of the track. This is the driver from Marist College, who's had a pretty solid season. Steady and consistent has been the name of the game for Fiore, but he hasn't gotten through. He hasn't broken through to get that win. Came very close at Watkins Glen, but unfortunately, Fiore has been locked out of the top spot on the podium for the entire season. And other than that race, I believe he has been locked out of the top 3. So Fiore, really hopeful for this one. He's a guy, I think, to keep your eye on, maybe not necessarily for the win, but certainly for a very good run. And if he can get some attrition to go his way, could be poking his nose around the top 3 once again. Like I said, very consistent season, very solid season. Here's going through those corners where you are flat out. That is 14 and 15, where you actually drive underneath the pit entrance line to get as close to the inside as you can. That is not an out-of-bounds zone. That is completely legal, and in fact, it is recommended. Here is your champion for the season, and likely, I would have to say, race winner. If I could pick somebody to win this race, I would go ahead and say that it would have to be Muhammad Alif. Throughout the entire season, I think maybe we would have said that that's a little bit of low-hanging fruit. But tonight, you got to go with the champ. He's had such a good run all season. And I think Muhammad Alif is going to end this one on a high note. He's already getting it kicked off and started off on the right foot. A 118.054 is a pretty flying lap around here. In an F1 car, which is significantly faster than these cars, the lap record ever, Juan Pablo Montoya had a 1:11. And that is, within 7 seconds of that, pretty impressive. Jake Cummings just a half second off of Alif. And how about Mr. Excitement, Wyatt Burton, the season that he's had, looking for his first road course win of the season. He also had a pretty good run going at Watkins Glen. There's the driver from Trine as he swings out of the final corner. Going to see if he can do a little bit better than a 1:18.8. And doesn't look like he is going to move up the board at all. But still 4 minutes to give it a shot. Looking at the rest of the running order, Keegan Kallick, great run, another great run in his rookie year. Fiore slipped to 5th by just 0.02 of a second. Kallick was able to grab him by. Whitlock, Davidson, Beatty, Moody, and Williams rounding out the top 10. A lot of Ball State cars up there. It's kind of been the theme all season. Here's Jake Cummings trying to knock a half second off his time, get up there and steal the pole position from Muhammad Alif. As once again, Alif has set a fast lap. He's broken the 1:18 barrier, slipped down to a 1:17.9, and just more work for Cummings and the rest of the field to do. They've got 3 minutes to do it. Cummings, some heavy lock up there into the hairpin. I believe that is turn 9. So a lot going to be going on in the minds of these drivers. So many different types of turns, which is why the Interlagos circuit here, very famous, very popular with the F1 fans in the F1 community, because it has so many different types of corners. There's 2 very long straightaways, which sets up 2 very aggressive passing zones. But the middle section of this track is incredibly technical. That makes it difficult in traffic, but it also makes it difficult to not lose time. As you can see, Wyatt Burton puts down a flying lap, a 1:18.4, moves him up to the 2nd spot. Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama in Huntsville slots himself for now in 3rd. If we could maybe take a look at the 81 car and maybe ride along with Ryan if he is still out on track, and he has pulled it into the pits. So we'll just go ahead and leave that one alone for now. But as we are going to rewind here, this is what the second half of the track looks like. And getting within 0.6 of a second of the pole time, certainly something Ryan's happy about. Ran really well here last season in a race that was dominated by Ball State, quite frankly. You had Muhammad Alif, Cale Davidson, and Lucas Moody sweep the top 3. last season. This was kind of the beginning of the ball of wall that led into this year. But ever since the season's kicked off, we've seen a few drivers be able to disrupt that wall, knock it down a little bit. Ryan Whitlock has gotten very close. Clint Halterman won a couple of races. Wyatt Burton won a couple of races. You want to mention Ben Fiore. He's been knocking on the door. And we've seen maybe a little bit of a slip out of Lucas Moody. He kind of fell towards the back end of the top 10 right now, coming into this race, 9th in points. So a little bit more parity this season. But it's been really good. It's produced some great racing, and hopefully that is going to persist tonight. Another guy, can't forget to mention, how about Jake Cummings? Certainly made the highlight reel for a couple of the wrong reasons this year, but he's also had some really, really great runs. Sat himself at the front of the field, unfortunately unable to capitalize on a couple other mistakes of other drivers, and still found himself mired a little bit deeper in the points than he would have wanted. But still, Jake Cummings, as you saw there, qualifying really well, looking to get himself in a good spot. So as qualifying wraps up, these drivers are going to have a little bit of an opportunity to warm up. And if we can, we'll now take a look at the track layout and some facts about this very famous circuit down in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in real life. And here it is: 2.67 miles, 4.3 kilometers, all of those 15 turns. Plenty of runoff around this track, so if you make a mistake, it's not necessarily straight into the wall, but every single one of those turns also incredibly challenging, and you do not want to get off track. You get in the marbles, that makes your tires dirty, that makes the track dirty, and that makes everything go slower. This track initially opened in 1940, but it was much, much longer, actually 7 kilometers. Lots of really long straightaways, high speeds. Eventually the FIA had them change the layout a little bit to what we see today, to only 4 kilometers and 15 turns. So this is the most recent update of this track. But we have run here numerous times in the Formula College World Championship, in both the Formula cars that were run the first few seasons. You can see all the way back in 2022, this race was on the Formula College schedule. But since we've transitioned to the IR18 car the past couple of years and turned it into more of an IndyCar series, we've kept this track on the schedule, and I think rightfully so. We saw a really, really entertaining beginning of the last race. A couple of yellows right off the bat. Don't usually see full course yellows in road course racing, but we got a couple of those last year. And that just shows how difficult it is going into turn one. Turn one was where both of those incidents happened, and you have that long straightaway leading into that heavy, heavy braking zone. And it just makes it all the more difficult to get through there cleanly, which, again, maybe an opportunity for some attrition. Somebody can sneak through. But yeah, cold tires, high speeds, makes the outlap very, very difficult here. And that level of difficulty, as I've said, is what keeps this track on the schedule. So, as this is going to be our final race of the season for the very last time, I want to take a moment to thank you all for watching. And if you have any questions or any drivers that you want to shout out, maybe any teams that you want to get an update on, go ahead and leave it in the chat feature there on the YouTube video. It really means a lot to see you guys interacting with us. And if you did enjoy the broadcast, please like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps the league out a lot, gets us a lot of engagement, and helps us keep putting on fantastic racing like we've been bringing all year, I think. I've really enjoyed my time up here in the booth, and I'm hoping that you guys are going to enjoy tonight as well. And of course, we want to shout out our admins and our production crew as well. Lee Kane doing it behind the scenes tonight. Been with me for most of the season. It's been a lot of fun, and I've been bringing you some pretty fantastic pictures. So shout out to Lee, and of course shout out to Ricky, our series director, all of the series director, all of the stewards, and of course the drivers in the CIL. For one last time, I want to give them some recognition before we go trackside to kick this race off. And we are just a couple of minutes away from that end of warm-up. Guys getting just a couple of more laps in. So I'll try to fill the space a little bit, fortunately on my own tonight, so don't want to hear the sound of my own voice too much. But I think, yeah, a couple of things to maybe keep our eyes on. Actually, we do have the starting lineup to go through. If we could have a look at that real quick. But other than that, we'll try not to yap too much. I don't want to blow my voice out. I think we mentioned earlier getting a potential sponsorship from some sort of drink company, and that never came through. So I'll be doing my best. But starting on the front row, it is our Muhammad Ali from Ball State University winning the pole once again this season. He's been absolutely dominant in qualifying. But next to him is Wyatt Burton, a very aggressive driver. If Burton can keep pace with Alif early in this race, we might see him make a move. So that is your front row. Back in row number 3, it is Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama in Huntsville, next to Jake Cummings from Converse. And we'll take a look at the back end of the top 5 here. Lucas Moody from Ball State, starting alongside Keegan Callick from St. Clair College, one of his best qualifying efforts. Back in row 4, Ben Fiore from Marist College, alongside Cale Davidson from Ball State. And rounding out the top 10, it's Dylan Beatty, also from Ball State University, in that yellow and black car, next to Drew Williams from Clemson. Starting 11th, Adam Willoughby, Drew's teammate, also from Clemson, next to Grant Schiller, the rookie from St. Clair College. Back in row number 7, Thomas Crump from Clemson, kind of a newcomer to this season, joined about halfway through the year. He starts next to full-time driver Nick Henley. Ricky Paz, series director, rounds out the top 15. He starts next to St. Clair's Adrian Tubakovic. Back in 17th, Jason Wallet from Drexel University. He starts alongside Andrew Burrell from Clemson U. Back in the 19th spot, Alex Finity from UNC Charlotte, running for the Alumni Division, along with Nick Stockner, rounding out the top 20 from Clemson. Starting 21st, it's last week's winner, Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. He starts next to Andrew Voigt from Penn State. Jacob Dick from Ball State University will roll off 23rd next to Carson Wallers from Paul Smith's College. And at the back end of the top 25, it is Caden Hughes from Bruton Parker College. It looks to me like he has put up a time that could be enough to make the race. If that's the case, that would be Hughes's first road course start of the season. Marlo Duncan, I do not believe, is going to be able to race tonight. So it is a 25-car field. And there is producer Lee Kane, who will also not be competing tonight as he is behind the scenes. So 25 cars set to take the green flag, and we are ready to fire all of them off into turn number 1 at top speed, which is going to be something incredible to watch. We do have a little bit of a strategy overview for you tonight. The fuel run, anywhere from 20 to 22 laps. On your highest fuel map, you may be able to make it 23, potentially even 24, if we do see a safety car like we saw last year. But if that BMW stays on pit road, then it is going to be a little bit of a stretch to try to make this race on 2 stops. 66 laps is your race length, and yeah, a third of that is the very, very top end of your fuel window. So certainly possible, but depending on what the tire give up is, we may see some 3 or 4 stop strategies. Going to keep all those drivers on their toes, and going to keep those of us up here in the booth on our toes as well, as the safety car starts to roll off the field behind them, looking off the tail end of the safety car back at that field for what could be the last green flag of season 6. So these drivers are going to warm their tires up. We'll see who's on the alts and who is on the primes. Looks to me like Wyatt Burton has put the alternate tires on, so maybe a chance to try to jump a leaf and take the lead early. Cummings, Whitlock there on the alternate as well. Meanwhile, our Muhammad Alif and it looks like Keegan Callick have opted to start this race on the primaries. So we'll see at what point those tires kind of flip the strategy, and if those guys start to make up any time at all. And we'll also have to see what happens when they put on the alts in the middle of the race. Something to keep an eye on as well. Field getting ready to roll onto the home straightaway under pace speed. And pretty soon that safety car will make a hard left-hand turn. The championship off the table, but the race is up for grabs from anybody who wants to take it. It's going to be Muhammad Ali from Ball State University and Wyatt Burton from Trine leading us to the line. We are green flag racing at Interlagos, and it's a great jump from Alif. The car around in the back, that is Carson Wallers, I believe, from Paul Smith's College. Knocks the wing off there a little bit. Looked to me like the rest of the field was clean and green. Ryan Whitlock grabs second from Wyatt Burton. Now the 26 car under fire from Jake Cummings. Cummings going to grab that spot as they're still side by side for sixth. That spot goes to Davidson. Lucas Moody got a great jump, holds on to the fifth spot, and they are wrecking. Sorry, this was part of that turn one incident, I believe. That looks to be Nick Stockner, Jason Wallet, Adrian Tubakovic. Yes, this is off into turn one on cold tires. We saw Wallers go around, and it looks to me like Stockner maybe tried to go three wide. Tubakovic was at his inside. Those two cars come together, destroyed both the 38 and the 124. Not sure how Wallers was caught up in that one. I think he spun before even getting to the scene of the crime. And then Stockner spins again. That's just lack of downforce on the front wing. Unfortunately, not able to go anywhere. But he is going to try to drive this car back to pit road, get some repairs. You are not allowed fast repair on road courses. So it's going to take a while for Stockner to get that thing fixed up. Not at all what he wanted to see. But back up front, Alif under a little bit of fire early from Ryan Whitlock. Whitlock was able to quickly get around the 26, and I don't even see what happened to Wyatt Burton. That car is actually in fourth, and I'm blind. I was looking on the ticker, didn't see the number 26. And got a little freaked out for a second, but Burton slides back to the fourth spot. He's on the same tires as Whitlock and Cummings, so for the moment, not a huge differential there. The big difference is the three of these guys on the reds. Meanwhile, Muhammad Ali is on that prime tire. He's nailed the strategy just about every race all season, so I would have to imagine that he might be on the optimal strategy again. But these guys behind him, they're thinking that same old racing saying, if you follow the leader, all you're going to do is follow the leader. And you don't want to finish behind the leader. You want to finish first. So do something a little bit different. Try a different strategy. And these guys have done just that. But despite the fact that they have the toe and those red tires, Muhammad Ali sets the fastest lap. And by getting that bonus point, he officially has he's already kind of locked it up just by virtue of starting this race, but giving himself just a little bit more points doesn't matter a whole lot anymore. But if you're Muhammad Ali, he wants to win this championship by as much as he can. Wants to go out not really on a farewell retirement tour, sitting around in the back on his rocking chair and let everybody else have fun. He wants to have the fun himself. Right now leading by just about 2 car lengths, though. I can't think of a race where it was any closer after about 3 laps. Alif at this point, it typically built up almost a 1-second gap, but right here, it's just half a second. The real battle going on right now is actually Jake Cummings and Ryan Whitlock. Whitlock under heavy fire from the 95, really aggressive through this middle technical portion of the track, was able to get right to the bumper of the 81 a couple of times, but for now, he is going to settle back and take the draft through 13, down into the kink, 14 through the kink, 15, and onto the front straightaway. Still 63 laps to go in this one, so these guys going to get into a rhythm. Not anything to do early. Don't want to ruin your race while there's still so much to go. Unfortunately, that is what has happened to Nick Stockner. You see there, very bottom of your scoring pylon, he is officially out of the race. Tubakovic, Wallers, Wallet, everybody who was involved in that lap 1 fiasco able to continue except for Stockner, and that just tells you the kind of season that he's had. Not just him, but the entirety of Clemson University. It was really bad last week at Michigan. It felt like every caution there was an orange and black car involved. And today it got started early, but we decided to stay green, everybody else able to get through it. And it looks to me like we are going to settle in for a long green flag run that will include everyone except for Stockner. And Caden Hughes, want to apologize, did mention that he made the race, did not make the cutoff time. So it was a 24-car starting grid. As we look back through the field, a couple guys that I'm seeing back here, Cale Davidson and Ben Fiore. Both of those drivers qualified well inside the top 10 and have slipped back just a little bit. Grant Schiller going the opposite way. He's moving forward. So is Aiken Lamar. He's up, I believe, 3 spots from where he started. And that's a pile of cars. Andrew Burrell looking to the inside. He's going to get a draft down the straight here, possibly going 3 to his immediate outside. I believe that is Jacob Dick. A little bit of lockup from Burrell. Near contact with Voigt. Potential for the crossover there from Dick, but the 22 decides just to stay in line. That car coming off pit road, Jason Wallet, had another issue, and he has lost a couple of laps. But Voigt, Burrell, Dick still under a blanket here. This is the battle for the 17th spot. Just off the bottom of the pylon, Voigt goes wide. Burrell throws it in. Dead even here. This is a sharp right-hander. And Burrell going to have to back it off to make the corner. Still stays clear of Dick. Gets a really good run into the cutback. But he's able to maintain that racing line. Now can Dick get a run off the corner and potentially challenge again? Still very, very early into the hairpin. Burrell sends it deep. Dick sends it deeper. And they are going to remain in that order for the time being. But I think both of those two cars smell a little bit of blood in the water with the 9 of Andrew Voigt coming back onto the home straightaway here. Jacob Dick going to get a really big toe into turn 1. We'll see what he can do with it. Oh, he goes all the way to the outside, clips the right rear of Andrew Burrell, and sends himself off into the tire barrier. That car did a little bit of a jump. That looked to me like it should have been accompanied with the Mario bouncing sound effect. Not at all what Jacob Dick wanted to see. As like I said before I went to take a drink of water, he had a great run down the front straightaway, all thanks to the toe, and unfortunately backed up the braking zone, or didn't back it up rather. He tried to push it a little bit too far and got into the right rear of Burrell. I don't see any damage to the 121. Looks to me like anything that may have happened in the contact there was superficial and did not hurt Burrell. So with that in mind, Burrell going to go back to trying to hunt down Andrew Voigt. But that incident should serve as a reminder to these drivers what happens when you push a little too hard, too early. And Burrell, I think, has learned his lesson. He's going to let the lap car of Jason Wallet go without any sort of contesting here. And he's going to tuck in, get a nice draft down the front straightaway. And I think he'll be happy with 18th. He'll be happy to just be alive. Because I guarantee for a moment that number 22 car got very large in the rear view mirror. And probably gave Andrew Burrell a huge scare. Looking back up in the top 5, Wyatt Burton for Trine University lost a couple spots early. You can see just ahead of him, Cummings and Whitlock still doing battle within 2 seconds of the leader. But Burton has slipped back a little bit from that. Don't know if this is saving tires or just doesn't quite have the same pace as these guys. We'll see if it flips in the long run or not. But for now, Whitlock has switched from trying to stay with Alif to just try to stay in the second spot. I am a little bit biased, and I would have to say that he is capable of doing it. My teammate and friend from the University of Alabama in Huntsville for Charger Motorsports. But Jake Cummings is going to certainly give him a fight. This is going to get that same run that Jacob Dick got. Hard down into turn 1 on the brakes, all the way from maxing out the rev limiter down into second gear. Cummings backed the corner up just a little bit, thought better of sending it on Whitlock, and now he's going to settle about a half second behind that 81 car. But keeping him in sight, these two drivers both on the alt tire, and if they're following the same strategy for this entire race, I don't know if they are ever going to get away from each other. Something happens to Ricky Paz, the 19 car, gone off track for ECU. That was him just following Grant Schiller. He was catching the 45 and unfortunately takes it very, very hot through that corner. No damage. I believe that is coming out of turn number 9. But he is going to slip back into a battle with Andrew Burrell. And that'll put Ricky all the way back to 18th. Definitely some pace in that 19 car. Like I said, he was catching Grant Schiller. Schiller, who put together a pretty good qualifying effort and was running well in practice. So Paz definitely has a little bit of speed here, but he's got to cool those tires down and stay steady if he wants to gain those spots back. Still plenty of time to do it. As R. Muhammad Alif continues to lead, he's grown the lead to 2.5 seconds. And I'd have to imagine that this is going to be about that time where those primes and alts are going to flip. The alts get a little bit slick. The prime tires maintain some of their grip and allow the 12 and anybody else who's on that tire to sneak away a little bit. Mentioned Keegan Kallick at the top of the show, a driver starting this race on the primary tires, fell all the way back to 9th, but that's about where he stayed. You see, was in a pretty tight battle with Dylan Beatty and Adam Willoughby, but he has since driven away from the 022 and now set his sights on Ben Fiore, who has not been able to get around Cale Davidson. Those two have been pretty close. And just in front of them, a guy that I wanted to give a shout out to, Drew Williams, has really been doing well on the road courses. The back half of this season has had some pretty bad luck. But when he's not having bad luck, he's winning Iowa and finishing inside the top 10 on the twists and turns of a road course or a street course or something like that. So definitely want to give a shout out to Drew Williams, trending in the right direction. And if we see him on track at the beginning of next year, he will certainly be coming in with a little bit of momentum and a lot of positivity with the way that he has ran well at Road Atlanta, and now running well here again in the early stages in Sao Paulo. Taking a look now back up at Wyatt Burton, trying to maintain the gap a little bit up to the car ahead of him, but maybe not for long. Lucas Moody closing in a couple of tenths a lap on the bumper of the 26. Moody still not within striking distance. Mentioned the top 3 from last season included Lucas Moody, a really, really solid top 3-1 run there. Wyatt Burton ran well in that race as well. Taking a look at the incident count, most drivers keeping it clean and steady in the early going. Being told that is not accurate, so maybe some guys not keeping it so clean, but for the most part, nobody's been involved in an incident. Of course, a couple of drivers, early spin by, I believe, the 4-car, of course, the incident involving Stockner, Wallet, and others, and then the little ballerina spin by Ricky Paz, but Paz has since recovered to the 17th spot. Now he's had a crack at Andrew Voigt. There's Ricky Paz. But going back up front, if we go back to look at that, it's still just a couple of car lengths between Whitlock and Cummings. There's Ricky Paz back in 17th. But lockstep for the 81 and the 95, Cummings all over Whitlock's tail. Typically, it's been Whitlock chasing Cummings, but this time the order is flipped, and it's up to Ryan Whitlock to play defense with over 55 laps to go as he leads them through turn number, I believe that is 11. And this is 13, 14, and 15 all the way down into the front straightaway. This is that long straight. Jake Cummings, for the moment, is going to lay off the push to pass. He's going to get enough of a run from that toad. Honestly, doesn't want to be going too fast. That might sound like a little bit of a weird thing, but when you're this early in the race, any more speed that you carry into a heavy braking zone is going to make you have to move that brake marker early and early and earlier. We saw it happen to Jake a bit, and Jake Cummings does not want to push it too far. He wants to keep his mark consistent, and so he is going to honestly go a little slower. Sometimes you got to go slow to stay fast. As you Cummings hasn't pushed the button at all. Still 200 seconds left. Whitlock has been on it probably as a defensive mechanism to get a little bit more speed down the straightaway, basically countering the toe, keeping himself in front of Jake Cummings. Lucas Moody, you see, used quite a bit as he has run down Wyatt Burton, so a great battle for second. Great battle for fourth, heating up as well. Moody continued to chop off the 10ths. I believe that 13 cars on the prime tire, but look at that. Using all of the runoff to the right to swing as wide as they can into the tight corner. Now onto the straight. This is back onto the home stretch. Cummings looks a little bit to the outside. Whitlock pulls very low, breaking the draft just a little bit. Doesn't want to help out that 95 if he doesn't have to. Both of them going to slide into turn one. I don't know how long Cummings waits to make the move because we're coming up here. If you're going to split this race into quarters, the pit window opening soon, I think we'll see most drivers opt to split it into thirds as Lucas Moody has made the pass for the fourth position. He has slid on by the 26, just behind them, Drew Williams, Cale Davidson. That's a pretty good battle going on for the sixth spot. Here it is, and Ben Fiore has drawn even with the 2 car, put a huge gap back to Keegan Kallick. And so now Davidson finds himself the meat in the sandwich. He's going to get a little bit of a look to the inside, thinks better of it. Now maybe going to have an opportunity for the crossover. This is through a series of hairpins, a technical intersection of the track. Going to run it through here. This, I believe, turn 10. Slides it down into 11 and then into 12. 12, a very heavy braking zone, but Davidson not close enough to make the pass. Instead, he is going to get a nice run off the corner down the home stretch. And will he get on the button? Doesn't look like it. He's going to get a pretty big run, though. Williams not going to defend. Davidson to the inside, draws even with him, and nails his braking marker, gets all the way down to first gear, keeps it off of the 123. Cale Davidson clear for the 6th spot, and that is a textbook pass. Now is Drew Williams going to be able to have a textbook comeback. Really, really good run here. This into turn 4, the second heavy braking zone on the track. Had a look to the left rear of the 2 car, but Davidson got the drive off, showing why he is second in points. A great season for Cale Davidson. Both of these drivers, Williams and Davidson, have won a race. Fiore, like we mentioned, the guy who was not, and he gets into Williams, and there is heavy contact. Around goes the 123. Not only is that car spinning, it is destroyed, rejoined safely, but without a fin. And Drew not going to be happy about that one. That is 2 major incidents. 2 Clemson alumni drivers. This is alumni. This is admin luck, as Fiore had a look to the inside, gets on the gas, and I think netcode played a little bit of a factor, but for the most part, looks to me like he just gets into the right rear of and now Fiore has spun as well, and Fiore was right in front of Davidson. Fiore may actually have served a drive-through, or maybe he just felt so ashamed that he decided to park it. We'll see what happens to the 55 here. This is a replay of why he disappeared. He simply vanishes. So Fiore no longer in the race. after what was a pretty heavy contact, got on throttle on corner exit, and I don't want to say that he dumped the 123, but did not keep that car to the right. And he may have removed himself from the race. I'm not sure if you can do that. His car disappeared at speed. Typically, if you're going to tow yourself back to the pits, you have to do that from a stationary position. So there's 55. Now, he definitely had damage from that contact. The left front wing was probably destroyed, as this is live footage of him coming off pit road. Mentioned there was some pretty heavy net code with the 123. When those cars came together, they didn't just come together, they merged for a moment. And I think it took iRacing a second to realize that contact was even happening. You saw it was very strange how the 123 spun and then the rear wing disconnected. It is possible that Fiore had some sort of disconnect. Maybe he black screened and just couldn't see the 123. So giving Fiore a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. If there wasn't anything that went on, still definitely some pretty solid contact there, likely going to appear in a penalty report. But if there was some sort of connectivity issue, would explain the contact and why that 55 car suddenly disappeared. In either case, he's got fresh tires and he's got the damage fixed, but that doesn't change the fact that both Fiore and Williams end some really great runs. Jason Wallet up to the 22nd position right now, sitting 2 laps down. Looks like tries to get on the throttle just a little bit too soon, and then decides that he wants to do a little bit of off-tracking. Don't know if Jason Wallet's a rally guy, but he wanted to be in that moment, winging it around onto the front straightaway, and decides to stay out. But Wallet up to the 22nd spot, technically being scored ahead of Drew Williams. And this battle has not ceased. Jake Cummings still giving Ryan Whitlock plenty to worry about, approaching the end of the fuel window. These two have been dancing and dancing and dancing, hurting those alternate tires, and that is drawing Lucas Moody into this battle. Another pretty impressive performance from the driver of the 13. Closing in on Cummings and Whitlock, two of the best in the series. Whitlock has a win this season at New Hampshire. Jake Cummings, I believe, his only CIO win of the season was a NASCAR Cup race at Vegas. He has unfortunately scored a goose egg in the win column here in the Formula College Series, trying to change that today, but Whitlock stands between him and then a 7-second ocean up to the boat that is our Muhammad Alif. Floating all on his own, turned himself into a distant object on the horizon. So Cummings right now immediately focused on Ryan Whitlock playing offense, Whitlock playing defense. Here's our Muhammad Alif, already caught lap traffic. This is a few of those drivers that were involved in incidents. He's gotten around Carson Wallers. Waller stayed out of trouble after lap 1, which moves him up to the 18th spot. Pretty good. Good job, just avoiding the issues, and hasn't been the season with the best luck for the driver of the 4. So if he can turn it around a little bit, maybe salvage some sort of top 15, that would be good for the driver from Paul Smith's College. But back up front, this battle continues, and the battle for 5th heated up now. Cale Davidson has grabbed it from Wyatt Burton. Davidson, I believe, on the prime, Burton on the alternate, so it could just be a very slick, ill-handling car for the driver from Trine University. Give that spot to Davidson, and with Williams and Fiore out of the way, this is the battle for a top 5 spot. Davidson has it, Burton wants it, but I don't think he's got the car to go up and get it, as they're going to pass by the pits this time. So we'll see if Burton tries an undercut here. If he does have burnt up tires, used up reds, he may want to throw it into pit road a lap earlier than Davidson, get that cold tire lap out of the way, and then maybe capitalize on that to get up there and pass the 2 car. You see behind them, Fiore is on track side by side with the lap car of Adrian Tubakovic. Tubakovic a couple of laps ahead of Fiore after the incident with the 55. There's Tubakovic. This is not for position, but Fiore is going to send it into the corner as if it is. Those 2 cars very close to contact on corner exit. Tubakovic gets the crossover, backs out at the very last second, nails the brake pedal, now finds himself at the inside of a teammate. Keegan Calick goes very wide to make sure that Tubakovic stays out of the way. That was actually for position. I thought Fiore was a couple of laps down, but no. Fiore -1, Tubakovic also -1, so that explains the aggression. But Tubakovic at the last second realized that he was going straight for the 55 car. They played kind of a game of very expensive chicken, and Tubakovic was the loser, backed out, locked up his tire, but fortunately saved his car. Here's looking back at Ricky Paz. Took a little bit of a spin earlier, but a very nice recovery since then. He's passed Andrew Burrell. He has passed Aiken Lamar. Excuse me, Lamar is still ahead of him. He's gotten around Finity as well. He passed somebody, but now looking at the tailpipes of Andrew Voigt, trying to see if he can't get that 9 car. And you saw it there on your graphic. 1 car has hit pit road. That is the 13 of Lucas Moody. He's been the first one to pit. Came in with 47 laps to go. Coming out of the pits, it looks like on the prime tire, what he started this race on, so we should know how that car is going to handle. So the first lap here, it's going to be incredibly sketchy with cold tires. But for the moment, Moody going to feel out what that car wants to do, sitting right behind Adam Willoughby. Willoughby holding up the back end of the top 10. As Moody gets some heat in those tires and he'll build up speed. We'll see how much of an advantage fresh tires have. I can imagine it's at least a few tenths a second a lap. As up front, second spot, Jake Cummings laid on the push to pass. Got around Ryan Whitlock. There it is. Hasn't run away with it yet, but he has stayed in front of the 81. Right here, they have passed pit road, so I'd imagine they'll both be in next time. This down the front straightaway. Whitlock sends it in. Excuse me, this is turn 4. A passing opportunity there. Whitlock not able to take advantage of it. You can see Jake Cummings has used 18 seconds of push to pass. I think he used them all at the same time to blow past the 81 and try to put a little bit of distance back to Whitlock. 20 laps of staring at the same Charger Blue bumper, and Cummings decided that enough was enough. Time to make the pass and put the Converse University machine on the inside and got around Whitlock. Opening up just a little bit of a gap now. Hasn't been able to run away with it completely, but he's built up almost a full second on Whitlock. And if he can maintain that gap until they hit the front straightaway, that's going to really hurt Whitlock's ability to get the toe. I don't think Ryan close enough to draft, which should allow Cummings to drive away with this one. Both cars staying out of the pits again. Those alternate tires, same thing we saw with Wyatt Burton. They got to be absolutely burnt. Now, it is possible that the tires aren't behaving like we expect. We've seen some races where the alternates actually hang on to grip a little bit more. They don't fall off the way that they're supposed to, and being a higher grip tire, they simply have more speed throughout the entire run. So could be a situation like that as well. A couple guys on red tires staying out. Meanwhile, hitting the pits, the rookie Keegan Calick, your rookie of the year. How about Dylan Beatty, Nick Henley, Grant Schiller, a couple of St. Clair and Ball State cars headed down pit road. There's the bright gold car for Dylan Beatty. Ball State running some gold paint schemes this week to celebrate their team championship that they won in the Cup Series and this series, and I believe they locked it up in the Sports Car Series as well. Thursday night CIL. This is the very last CIL race of Season 12. The Cup Series, the Short Track Series, and the Sports Car Series have all locked it up, and you're looking at a man who has won 2 of those 4 titles. Won the Sports Car Championship and has locked up the uh, Formula College Championship as it stands right now. No way for him to lose it to teammate Cale Davidson. So a Leaf driving off into the sunset. Cummings and Whitlock in pit road. They hit it at the same time, boxing on lap 23. So this is splitting this race exactly in thirds. They're going to get a one-lap undercut on Muhammad Alif, although I don't think that is going to play into cutting his lead down much. Jake Cummings, a significantly better pit stop than the 81. He puts a couple of seconds on Ryan Whitlock, absolutely beat him into and out of the pits. And if he can have a good outlap, that 81 going to be a distant speck in the mirror for Jake Cummings. More cars on pit road. The alumni, Willoughby, Lamar, Voigt, Paz, Burrell. Excuse me, that's a long list of guys pitting. Muhammad Alif, Cale Davidson, they've elected to run long. They've stayed out for now and assumed the top 2 spots. We'll see when those cars decide to pit. Wyatt Burton, I believe, yet to pit as well, which means the first guy who is coming out of the pits, Jake Cummings. And with that little bit of a slower stop on the 81, not sure what happened, but that has allowed Lucas Moody to leapfrog Whitlock. Of course, Moody already has heated up those tires, and here we go. This is with 43 laps to go. Muhammad Alif hits pit stall number 23, and he is going to fill that car with gas, change for Firestone tires. Davidson going to follow him in, hitting his box as soon as Alif leaves, and that shows you just how big that gap was. What this is showing me right now is that there really isn't a huge difference, unlike we initially anticipated, between the alts and the primaries. Those tires seem to be handling about the same. Burton was on the alternates. Davidson was on the Blackwall primaries, and they both hit pit road at the same time. So it looks to me like maybe no real advantage or disadvantage there. But a good friend of mine once said that tires are kind of black magic. You don't really know what they're going to do until they hit the track. They're so dependent on so many different factors: temperature, the way that you drive them, of course, the type of compound that they are. Even the individual tire is going to be different. And so in this case, it seems to me the Reds and Blacks behaving pretty similarly. That has allowed Jake Cummings to sneak his way a very healthy lead of 3 seconds back to Whitlock. You put a Lucas Moody between them. Moody all the way up to 3rd. Something happened to Burton on his pit stop, all the way back to 7th behind Keegan Kallick. Kallick has recovered. He slipped back to 10th in that first run. Now he is up to where he qualified. There's Cale Davidson. He cycles out in 5th, just ahead of Kallick. So we'll see if the 29 can close the gap down, but he may have to deal with a mirror full of Wyatt Burton, as he being Kallick grabbed a little bit of grass there on corner exit. We'll see how that 29 car handles. Dylan Beatty pretty close to Nick Henley, his teammate. Pretty close to Crump and Willoughby, those 2 teammates, recent graduates of Clemson University. And then looking into the picture, Aiken Lamar mentioned not a great qualifying effort for Lamar, and I believe he opted to start this race from the pits. I saw him and Voigt rolling off of pit road on lap number 1. So Lamar up, I believe, 7 spots from where he started. Mentioned him as last week's winner from Howard Community College. Won it at Michigan. Thrilling. Absolutely fantastic. Last lap pass on the outside. If you haven't seen the highlight, go back and watch it. And there's actually a really great, convenient video to do so. We have, a great editor who works behind the scenes with our social media director, Edward Sanchez, putting together highlight reels for some of our videos. So if you want to go, you've only got about 15 minutes, but you want to know what happened last week at Michigan, I highly encourage you to check it out. It was a fantastic race, won by Aiken Lamar, so sorry for the spoilers, but quick, easy breakdown, 15 minutes to catch you up on everything that you needed to know before this race. The rundown there. Wyatt Burton, I believe, was 2nd place, I think. I'm having a hard time remembering, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that one after this one as well. There is Andrew Voigt. Andrew Burrell just behind him. Battle of Andrews for the 15th spot. They have gotten around a couple of guys. Something happened to the 321 of Alex Finity, so he, a little bit off the pace, has cycled out of this one. We're being told a black flag from producer Lee for the 19 of Ricky Paz. Not exactly sure what's for. Mentioned that he's trying to claw his way back to the front after an early incident. Doesn't serve a drive-through here. So we're unsure why Paz has a black flag. We'll see if that was either an error or something that he still has to serve. Definitely doesn't want to serve it if he doesn't have to. iRacing does screw up sometimes. But the way the Paz's season has gone, does not want to give up 14th on a road course. The fact that he's got the front wing on that car, something that he's very happy about. When it's not a Clemson car wrecking, it seems to be something involving Ricky Paz. The admins and the guys who run this show behind the scenes have not had good luck actually being in the scenes. Across all series, sports car, cup car, here in an Indy car. Yeah, it's been a rough season to be an admin. So we'll see if Paz has been bitten by an unlucky black flag or if he did something to deserve it. Time will tell. Right now he is sitting a minute off of our Muhammad Alif. So definitely a possibility that we'll see Paz drop a few spots here. Still 40 laps to go here in Sao Paulo. So a little bit of time to recover from that incident. Definitely don't want to give up time if you don't have to. But if you are going to give it up, you want to give it up early. Paz, nope, psyched me out there. That is the racing line. I mentioned in qualifying, you are allowed and in fact encouraged to do that dive bomb beneath the white line. That is actually turn 15. The final turn of this track in Portuguese. I'm looking at it right now, and it is very hard, and I would butcher the pronunciation. But that is turn 15, final kink of the track. Honestly, a pretty difficult corner. You are full speed through there. We're going to see Ryan Whitlock take it in the draft right here behind Lucas Moody. And it's so bumpy, and the track is so wide that it tempts you into wanting to swing all the way out towards the wall. But you want a little bit more of a gradual angle to get the optimal entrance into turn 1. So definitely a track, a turn, part of the track that teases you a little bit, wants you to make a mistake. We've seen everybody been able to run clean through there thus far. But those last couple turns, even though they are flat out, nothing to be messed with. As Moody tries to close the gap on Jake Cummings, pretty good run. Qualified well, lost a couple spots on lap 1, but he has gained all of that back and more. Got it within a second of Jake Cummings, going to fly very wide on corner exit there to line himself up with the curb, trying to get that 13 car to rotate. For the moment, not closing the gap on Cummings. You see there, Ricky Paz has dropped in and served a drive-through penalty. We believe that is due to an incident point total. If memory serves, it's a 25x incident limit. If you get off track just once, that is 1 incident. If you spin out, that counts as 2 incidents. And if you're involved in a crash, that is 4. So with the spin for Ricky Paz, that's at least 2 that we know that he has. So if he's clipped a curb, gone off track just a little bit at some point, those would be 1 apiece. And so averaging less than 1 a lap has put him up to that limit now. The 25 incidents for Ricky Paz. I believe the next penalty for incidents is if he hits 35. So he's going to want to keep it below that number. But he's racked him up early here. Less than 30 laps down. Paz already penalized. Very easy, to get off track here, especially in this spot here. You see getting all the way over to that curb on the right side. There's the curbing, and then there's that dark green patch to the right of the green. You can put your right side tires on the dark green, but as soon as your left side tires cross the curb, touch the dark green, that tells iRacing that you've disobeyed the track limits, you've gone off track. That is a single incident point. And again, very, very easy to do. Not just there, but a couple of spots. And that is why plenty of drivers racking up incident points. I don't know if Paz is going to be the only one to serve one of those penalties today. Only lost 2 spots. He was catching Grant Schiller. He will now have to catch this man, Andrew Burrell, once again. Slides Burrell up into the 15th spot. And gives a little bit of breathing room to Andrew Voigt. He's now looking at number 19, Ricky Paz, still in 16th for ECU. has been able to survive and keep himself as the last car on the lead lap. Not too far in the mirror is the 12 of R. Muhammad Alif. Should be, I would say, about 4 or 5 laps or so. So can't imagine Paz is going to give much of a fight to Alif. Not a whole lot of reason to do so. But we've seen a couple of incidents involving lap cars this season. Obviously, don't want it to happen to R. Muhammad Alif. But the race would significantly closen up if he did. Whitlock's made the pass on Moody for the 3rd spot. Jumped up there and grabbed it from the Ball State driver. Trying to get set to track Jake Cummings back down. Cummings leapfrogged him on track and then made a huge gap under the pit cycle. So now Whitlock trying to gain all of that back on the primary tire. A little bit fresher rubber than Lucas Moody, but overall just did a good job running that 13 car down, passing him efficiently and cleanly. No contact, no off track. Didn't worry about sitting behind him and waiting for the perfect opportunity. He was just able to make it work as soon as he got there, and he is now less than a second up to the 95 of Jake Cummings. We approach the halfway mark in this one. Still R. Muhammad Alif leading. Got 12 and a half seconds on the rest of the field. And this is the way that he's won them all year. Some might call it boring. Some might call it dominant. Some might even call it legendary. But it is what R. Muhammad Alif has done all year. Putting on a clinic, not putting a wheel wrong, except for that one time at Long Beach. But other than Long Beach, other than that, Alif not put a wheel wrong, run really, really well, really clean races. And when his school isn't being actively hit by a tornado, he has proved very, very difficult to beat. And this is the exact reason. You can't pass a guy that you can't even see. And so he is well out of the vision of the drivers behind him. Whitlock knocks another couple tenths off that gap to 2nd. That is one of the closest battles on track. Got a few cars close together for the 8th spot. The power of the toe keeps them close together, but you get down into the corners, and it's so technical, so easy to make a mistake, that these cars close, but not able to really do a whole lot of battling until they get bumper to bumper. Burton, a pretty big gap back to Calic. There's a lap car between. So nothing to worry about for Burton. There's Keegan Calic. Honestly, one of his better runs of the year. I feel like we say that every week. So continuous improvement for the rookie. Sound like a little bit of a broken record here. Keegan Calic, of course, your rookie of the year for St. Clair College. St. Clair sweeping the Rookie College Awards as Grant Schiller runs 2nd in that category. But yeah, Calic, continuous improvement, gets better and better, it feels like, each week. I think if his oval racing can improve just a little bit, he can go from running, tail end of the top 10, move up a couple spots, run tail end of the top 5. And if he can do that while staying out of trouble, that is the true challenge for every sophomore season driver. I think we're going to see a lot of those. Now, Nick Henley, guy who will be, I believe, doing that on the Cup side of things. This is not his rookie year on the Formula College side of things, as he tries to chase down his teammate Dylan Beatty. Gets pretty close there. Into turn number 10, the hairpin comes out 11-12. Those two teammates trying to stick together and stick ahead of the 016 of Thomas Crump. Crump has had some pretty good runs on the road courses this year. I mentioned earlier he's kind of hopped in second half of the season. He and Adam Willoughby decided to give it a go and run some races. And both alumni from Clemson, one of them sitting inside the top 10 and one of them sitting 17 seconds outside of the top 10, but in prime position to capitalize if any one of these drivers gets a little bit too aggressive and makes a mistake. This battle has not gone away. Burrell has taken 14th from Voigt, but the Penn State driver not letting Andrew Burrell go, trying to keep the 121 in his sights, that tiger-striped car. Burrell, honestly, it's dangerous driving for Clemson. The orange and black has seen a lot of damage. You look at the bottom of the boards, Drew Williams, Nick Stockner, both from Clemson. But here, Burrell, caution to the wind, sends it into turn 1. He's already been hit down there once. Voigt not able to cross him over through the Senna S. And that gives the 14th spot for the moment to Burl. Voigt just had it. We'll see if the 9 car wants it back. Going to get a huge draft down to 1 on the button. Jumps to the left. Off the push to pass. Gets into the corner, but Burl hangs tough on the outside. Burl is still there as they work up through the gears through turn 5. Now this is going to be a hard double right-hand corner. Voigt is clear, and he moves back into the 14th position. Both of these guys trying to work together to track down the 45 of Grant Schiller, who's been sliding back since the drop of the green. A little bit of a squirrely moment there for Andrew Voigt. Burl gonna dive it in. And that is the same spot we saw Fiore and Williams get together. I don't know if exactly knew about that, but it seemed to me like he had a sudden moment of extreme self-awareness and realized that he had to bail out quickly if he wanted to stay in one piece. That's exactly what he did. Locked up the tires in doing so. Looking at Ricky Paz, giving the draft to leader Muhammad Alif. Alif looks inside of turn 1. Ricky Paz gives him a nice wide berth. Respectful thing to do there. Saw the blue flag and moved for Alif. Jason Wallet getting out of the way as well. I believe that puts Wallet 3 down. Ricky Paz 1 lap down. First car a lap off the pace. Voigt in 15th. Next car to go a lap down. And you know that 9 car has got hot tires and probably got the adrenaline pumping. So we'll see what happens to Voigt when the leader gets up to him. For the moment, Andrew Voigt stays on the lead lap, trying to track Burl back down. These two have had a pretty solid back-and-forth battle over the past few laps. Another back-and-forth battle happening. Ryan Whitlock, Lucas Moody duking it out for the 3rd spot. Whitlock tried to put up some gap, some space back to Moody. But when he couldn't catch Jake Cummings, I think a slight mistake from the driver of the 81 brought Lucas Moody back into podium contention. For the moment, Whitlock holds that spot. Here it is. But those two doing battle has brought Moody's teammate Davidson into this one. Davidson, the runner-up here last year in the IR18 at Interlagos. And he can see 3rd place. He can see a podium position. Not used to being locked out of the podium. Typically, it's a Leaf, and then about 15 seconds back to Davidson, and then about 15 seconds back to whoever is running in 3rd. Before the moment, Jake Cummings holds the 2nd spot. Really, really good run out of the Converse driver, arguably his best of the season. As potential mistake out of Voigt gives the spot to Ricky Paz. Paz puts a few car lengths between him. This battle behind the leaders, Voigt got way out of the way to let Muhammad Alif by without worrying about making a mistake and collecting that 12 car. And I think that opened the door for Ricky Paz to dive it in there. You are certainly encouraged to get out of the way for the leader, but you are not supposed to forget that you are fighting for positions. You are fighting on track just like everybody else. And this group here, 14th, 15th, 16th, Burl, Paz, Voigt, they are all 1 lap down and still battling for position. In fact, if they keep it up, it's going to bring Ben Fiore right back into this one for a car that disappeared for a solid 25 seconds. Fiore potentially going to be able to capitalize if he can catch these guys. There's the driver from Marist. Maybe have the commentator's curse. Been a guy that I've really liked following. Always a fun interview with Fiore. And unfortunately, I think the commentator's curse has followed him all season. As more bad luck struck him today. But he's got the chance to recover just a little bit. Only 1 lap down, I think, is going to be a common occurrence by the end of the season. Or excuse me, by the end of the race. These long, drawn-out road course races, typically we only see about 5 or 6 cars left 1 lap down. So plenty of spots that Fiore could grab if he's got pace. As Whitlock and Moody, you can see still trading that spot back and forth. 81 car of Ryan Whitlock. This is side-by-side down into turn 4. Moody goes for the crossover, gets to the inside of 5, power down. They're side-by-side. This is going to give a huge tow to Davidson. Davidson backs off. Whitlock's got the preferred groove in 6 and 7. Still side-by-side. Neither giving it up. Both used a little bit of push to pass Moody. Near gets sideways. And you want to talk about a commentator's curse. If something were to happen to Ryan Whitlock right now, I would be hearing about it all over the summer. For the moment he hangs on to the spot, Moody pokes his nose to the inside. That time's able to keep the car headed in the right direction. But this group of three, these are three very knowledgeable and skilled drivers, not going to give each other an inch. They're going to know how to do it. They're going to race a card. Hopefully they race clean. We still have nearly half of this event to go. But Moody's got the preferred groove through that second kink, 15. He's going to have the inside into turn 1. Let's see if Whitlock sets up a diamond for the crossover. Moody locks up the left rear tire, but plays some defense and keeps Whitlock on the back pedal. Whitlock has to go wide in turn 3. That draws Davidson even. Thought Davidson was going to have a look into turn 4. Look at the move. This is Whitlock. Sells the dummy on Moody and is able to hang on to the fourth spot for the moment. Good move there. It was offensive and defensive. He got Moody looking in the mirror, prevented Davidson from passing him, and I don't think it was too hard on those tires, so we should be able to lock it down and go. Catch the 13 car once again now. This through that inner technical section, a couple of hairpins back and forth. That is turn 9, and now into the Pico di Pato. The hairpin back to the right. Cale Davidson, look at that steering. As much as he can get out of his IR $18 car. Losing touch just a little bit with Whitlock and Moody as those cars got single file. A little more difficult for Davidson to stay right on the bumper. I think he had a window of opportunity that lap going into turn 4. Maybe decided to be smart, maybe decided to be cautious. But if the 5 and the 13, the 81 and the 13, they get linked up and draft a little bit down these straightaways, they may pull away from the 2. Although right there, really good run into turn 1 for Cale Davidson. For a moment, he was close. Whitlock and Moody get the run off. And that keeps the distance between them and the front wing of the 2 car. As Davidson got really squirrely there on corner exit, jumped all the way down to the inside lane. Able to save that car, but losing valuable time. Huge gap back to 6th place Wyatt Burton, so nothing to worry about losing the spot there. But Cale Davidson used to getting podiums, used to running really well. I mean, really used to running top 2. So we'll see what happens. You remember, Lucas Moody is on a little bit of an alternate strategy here. The Ball State cars have been very good at saving fuel this season. So coming in on lap 20, he'll have to do a little bit of conservation, I think, to make it on one more stop. That would split this race into 2 23-lap runs, which should be doable. So I would expect to see that car on pit road sometime around lap 43. Everybody else I would expect to see around lap 44 or 45 as they potentially try to set up something of an undercut here. They may go a couple of laps sooner than that. We're seeing very much a 2-stop race, nobody trying 3. This battle is happening with Andrew Burrell missing the left front wing. A couple laps down, Jason Wallet got himself in this one. Pace, a lot of pace out of the 76 car. I think he would be running definitely ahead of these guys if he'd been able to stay out of trouble early. Burrell going to let him go, and with the lack of downforce on the front end of that car, Burrell going to deal with the lap down car of Tubakovic and the lead lap car of Jake Cummings. Not at all what Cummings wants to see is tire lockup from the 121. Cummings goes very wide. It's the preferred groove. Burrell trying to get out of the way. Finally, Cummings gets through, but loses valuable time doing so. And unfortunately, that might be a day ruin for Burrell. It would take a long time to come in and pit. But if he doesn't, leading seconds every single lap. Whatever contact happened to knock that wing off was most likely 2 or more incident points, and so he has hit the limit. And so this is a drive-through penalty. Lucas Moody, once again trying the undercut. Short pit here, comes in with 26 laps to go. Gives up the 4th position to put fresh Firestone tires on that Ball State machine. So we'll see where he cycles out. Been a little interesting to watch. The Lucas Moody pit strategy here. It was able to get him ahead of Ryan Whitlock last time, and then he was able to maintain that track position. So worked out well for Moody. He figures, why not go ahead and try it again. 26 laps, going to be a little bit of a stretch on this gas tank. Initially predicted that maybe the max you could go was 23, but maybe with a little bit of draft, some heavy fuel saving, and of course, the number 5 fuel map. Definite possibility that Lucas Moody will be able to make it to the end of the race on gas. So this would be his final stop of the day. Looking at Jake Cummings, who still has to come into pit road with 25 laps to go in the season. Cummings is going to peel off to the left, fake us out a little bit, take that line through 15, and clear the lap car of Andrew Voigt. Cummings in the position that Cale Davidson usually in, running second with a big a big gap back to third, sitting on an island of his own. There is the third place car, Ryan Whitlock. Put a little bit of time up on Cale Davidson himself, and that battle has eased out just a little bit as Lucas Moody throws it down pit road. Moody cycled out 8th, got some heat in those tires and passed his teammate, get back up to 7th. So we'll see where Moody is running at the end of this one. I would expect to see the 81 and the 2 on pit road in the next 2 to 3 laps. They didn't immediately follow Lucas Moody into pit road, so they're not really trying to get on his same undercut strategy. For the moment, they are just trying to get to their number. Getting around the lap car there, I believe that is 4th, Carson Wallace. Excuse me, that is the 45 of Grant Schiller. Schiller just gone 1 lap down. Last car on the lead lap. There's Grant Schiller. That was Wallers. This is Schiller just losing a lap to Muhammad Alif. There's Wallers. Schiller, a pretty solid run for the 45 car, but able to stay out of trouble. Slipped back for making Lamar after those had a little bit of a battle. There's the Paul Smith College machine sitting a couple of laps down after a couple of early spins. But the nose of that car clean for the moment. And in a paint scheme that looks very similar to that of the St. Clair College cars, that kind of dark foresty green. Wallers keeps it looking shiny and pretty, running in the 22nd spot. Potentially will be able to catch the 38 car before this one's over, so a little bit of a battle shaping up there for the 21st position. Here's Muhammad Alif. And here's Jake Cummings, gap between them over 16 seconds. 3rd place, Ryan Whitlock, another 8 back of Cummings. Over a full second up on Cale Davidson. Now it's Wyatt Burton who rounds out the top 5. Wyatt Burton been exciting to watch all season. You see him here, a little bit of lap traffic. Alex Finity, Ben Fiore, both 1 lap down and battling hard for position. Finity going to try to give it to Burton without giving it to Fiore. Fiore going to let him slot in a line there in the switchback. And for the moment, Alex Finity holds 16th. As Fiore has gotten around Burrell, that orange car behind them is also for position. The 321 and the 55 have passed him with the damage to that 121. This is a battle here shaping up for 6th. Calic still has to make a pit stop, but for the moment he's going to try to hold off Lucas Moody. And this is really to the benefit of, oh my goodness, Calic gets off the track. Moody gets squirrely trying to avoid him. Calic going to go very wide, give the spot to Moody, and drop down to draft down the front straightaway. Now this is for position, but the more that Moody gets held up, it's really just going to help the 81 and the 2, who are kind of on a counter strategy. Excuse me. They're on a counter strategy to this number 13 car, so the more that he gets held up by Keegan Calic, the more that those other 2 will be able to hang on to track position once they hit their pit number, which should be quite soon. So nobody a bigger Keegan Calic fan right now than Ryan Whitlock, as Moody gets way off track there. That is an incident. Not sure how many he is at, but got to be careful late in this race. Like we said, you get close to 25 incidents. We've already seen it bite Andrew Burrell and Ricky Paz. And I believe Jason Wallet as well. So as there's Ricky Paz, runs 14th. Jake Cummings in 2nd, throws it down pit road with 22 laps to go. He has split this race perfectly in thirds. just like an Oreo, and he is going to take 4 tires and gas. Ryan Whitlock follows him onto pit road. These two were lockstep for the entire first run, but as soon as Jake Cummings found some clean air, the 95 kind of checked out and gave himself a very, very good, very, very big gap back to the 81. Cummings also really good stop last time he came into pit road, and another one there. Here's a couple of All-State cars, Dylan Beatty in the gold and Nick Henley in the white, both pitting from inside the top 10. Roll into their boxes, and it looks like clean stops for the 64 and the 20. So we'll see both those cars, Adam Willoughby, Aiken Lamar, among others, in pit road. I believe next time by, we should be seeing a couple of leaders. Aiken Lamar slides it deep into his box. Very close to the wall. Now, that is going to impact his pit performance time. iRacing does change how long you spend on pit road based on factors like how well you get in your box, how close you are to the wall. In real life, that would make it very difficult for the pit crew to change all 4 tires. And as much of a simulator as iRacing is, it simulates that as well. So a little bit of a slower stop for Aiken Lamar, but he is right on the bumper of Adam Willoughby. That is for position. Lamar had it with that slower pit stop. He gives it to Willoughby. Actually, I believe Willoughby simply held on to it. Andrew Voigt pits out of the 15th spot. He'll be accompanied on a pit road by Wyatt Burton, the driver from 5th. Keegan Kallick on that strategy as well. Whitlock, Alif, and others have opted to stay out and pit. A couple of laps later, Thomas Crump in that group. Here's Kallick getting service on the St. Clair College machine. There's Burrow, looks like 121, finally getting that front wing damage fixed. This car is awful to drive without any of that damage. So we will see. So for the moment, Jake Cummings sitting 3rd as he is not on pit road. Leader are Muhammad Alif into the pits for what likely will be his last pit stop of the race. Shouldn't give up any position doing so. Hale Davidson now on pit road. Davidson going to give up 2nd. He will likely cycle back to around the 5th spot, depending on where he is relative to Ryan Whitlock and Thomas Crump. For the moment, Hale Davidson shapes out behind Whitlock and Moody, as had happened earlier. So this is going to kind of keep them in the same spots. Thomas Crump puts it on pit road. That 016 should cycle out at the very tail end of the top 10. The undercut worked well for Moody. He's got 3 seconds on Ryan Whitlock. Lucas Moody's trying to defend his podium finish from last season, following it up with another 3rd place. Ryan Whitlock running 4th, trying to catch him, but just ahead of Ryan Whitlock is a sight that he does not want to see. Ben Fiore and Alex Finity battling hard for the 15th spot. They've gotten around Andrew Voigt, and that is for position. Ryan Whitlock doesn't want to see it. There's Andrew Voigt back in 17th. The 123 and the 55 side by side. And to give a good draft to Whitlock, it looks like they're going to get out of the way. Both of them letting him by, and actually Finity now peeling onto pit road. I think Finity was a little bit off cycle because of an incident that happened earlier in the race. So we'll see which positions that driver from UNC Charlotte can hang on to. We want to give you a quick update. 25 incidents. We saw what happened to Ricky Paz and Andrew Burrell. The penalty is a drive-through. If you get all the way up to, I believe it is 35, you are disqualified from the event. And that happened to Adrian Tubakovic, driver the 38 from St. Clair College, accumulated a ton of off tracks, was running an all right race, one lap down without any major damage. But Tubakovic going to be knocked out of this one and likely scored 22nd when it is all said and done. So Tubakovic out of this one moves Carson Wallers up to 21st. And everybody else pretty much going to stay in the same. As we approach 18, now 17 laps to go, Muhammad Alif has put it up to 18 seconds. How about that? Here's the battle. Cale Davidson, 3 wide through the middle. And he's going to miss the corner completely, way off track. And now he spins, locks it up, keeps it out of the outside retaining wall. But we're going to rewind that one and take a look at it again. 3 wide. Wyatt Burton was for position. Davidson fired it off into the corner and was able to keep it. He had a car on his inside. I believe that was the lapper of Ben Fiore. And just launched off into the corner. Tried trail braking super deep and just never was able to make turn 2. And as soon as that car bounced over the curb back onto the racing surface, spins, burns the tires off, and able to stay ahead of Wyatt Burton somehow after the spin. But Cale Davidson goes for a little bit of a ride, and it should be noted that that is going to be a couple of incident points. Don't know how close Davidson is to 25, but that's been a few moments now that the 2 cars done some off-tracking, so maybe something to keep an eye on. Definitely these drivers here, as we approach the closing stages of this race, do not disqualify yourself. Do not get yourself a drive-through. Do not do anything too crazy. Here's Alex Finity. He came into pit. Now he's under fire from Andrew Burrell. That battle toward the 17th spot will not go away. Just ahead of them, Andrew Voigt, Ben Fiore in battle for the 15th spot still. Excuse me, that was not Wyatt Burton. That was on the outside of Cale Davidson. That was this 9 car of Andrew Voigt. Blue and white for Trine and Penn State looks pretty similar, so apologize for that. Wyatt Burton still 6 seconds close to Davidson, and may be able to close that gap a little bit. If Davidson has blistered any of those tires, gotten them really hot, gotten any sort of underbody damage to that 2 car, Wyatt Burton might be able to close down and grab a top 5. Everybody has already made their final pit stops, so no more strategy to shake out. The only thing really to see there is if Brian Whitlock can catch Lucas Moody for 3rd on fresh tires. But that gap has maintained at a little bit over 2 seconds ever since Whitlock did his outlap and put his final set on. There's Ryan Whitlock. Looks to me like he's on the prime tire. Kind of all by himself for now, but if he can lay down some qualifying laps, may be able to get to the bumper of Lucas Moody. Coming up on 15 laps to go this time. Moody is still able to hang on to 3rd, running really, really good lap times, even on the alternate tire, which looks to me like it just doesn't have a lot of fall off. I think if you push it too hard, it does start to get squirrely, but it does maintain some grip on the long run if you don't burn it up too much. We saw that a little bit on the 1st and 2nd runs. Now here in the 3rd stint, Moody taking full advantage of that added grip and keeping himself very solidly inside the top 3. Davidson a second slower than Burton on that last lap, if I'm reading that correctly. Battle a little bit deeper in the field. Aiken Lamar has gotten back by Grant Schiller. I believe the 45 car made his final pit stop and cycled out to 13th. Schiller trying to keep a gap back to pause for the moment. It's pretty big, this battle here. Aiken Lamar has run right up on the bumper of Adam Willoughby. Lamar won an oval last week at Michigan, but he hasn't really been a slouch on the road courses either. Got close to the podium at Watkins Glen. Right here looking for a top 10. He's got to get by Willoughby, and then he's got to hunt down Dylan Beatty, who is some 30 seconds up the road. So it may not be in the cards today for Lamar, but at the end of these races, drivers start making mistakes, getting DQs with that incident limit. It does become difficult to stay in this race, and anybody who can is going to gain those positions. Here's Lamar looking to the inside. He's going to have Willoughby cleared and give 11th to Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. And I got to be honest, if I'm Adam Willoughby and I'm driving a car that is painted Clemson orange, I am simply happy to still be running at this point. The three most snake-bitten drivers of this race, Andrew Burrell, Nick Stockton, and Drew Williams, God bless them, they have been put through hell here in Brazil. I don't know what they did. I don't know who they upset. But carried over last week from Michigan, those three just can't escape the curse. For the moment, Thomas Crump hanging on to the 8th spot, your best running Clemson driver in the field. Willoughby, the fact that he is running is impressive. The dark cloud of bad luck followed Clemson around like the plague. Crump actually gained a couple of spots. At one point, he was behind the Ball State duo of Henley and Beatty, but found a little bit of pace, cycled out ahead of them. Now 5 seconds back to Nick Henley. Is Thomas Crump. Here's Wyatt Burton continuing to try to hunt down Cale Davidson, though I think the 26 slid the tires a little bit, got himself in trouble. The gap was down to about 5 seconds. It is now up to 11. So it doesn't look to me like Wyatt Burton is going to grab that top 5. Still, though, very, very commendable season for the driver over 26. 2 wins on the season. Nothing to be ashamed of for that driver of the 26. And Lucas Moody back on pit road. Hang on a second. This is not an incident point penalty. This is a pit stop. Mentioned earlier, he came in on lap 41, which was 26 laps to go. The very tippy top of the fuel window, and Moody Math must have said that pitting to put fresh tires on, as we see Andrew Burrow go around. Guess what school he goes to? Spinning car there, painted orange. Andrew Burrell, 19th spot, absolutely snake bitten. Producer Lee Kane is telling me that it's my fault. And, if I was out there on track in the Cup Series, getting myself involved in crashes, as I tend to do, I would say that there's some validity to that. But this is more than a commentator's curse. This is an entire commentator's Indiana Jones trilogy. This is something that is quite I don't think I've ever seen this before in the Collegiate iRacing League, where a single school has seemed targeted by Lady Luck, who is shooting with the accuracy of Hawkeye, and shooting to kill. So Burrell falls back to the 19th spot, accumulates some more incidents. He's going to have to be careful, very close to that 35 number for him. Going back to the Moody Math, saving fuel hurts your lap time. You know what doesn't hurt your lap time? Fresh tires. Put alternates on. Heat them up. Go chase those guys down. This is battle for position, 5th place. Give it to Moody. And he is now going to set his sights on hunting down Cale Davidson and Ryan Whitlock. Maybe thought he couldn't make it to the end of the race on gas. Throws it down pit road. He is going to have 12 laps to carve his way through the field. To get back up to where he was running is 16 seconds by my calculation. So a little bit more than a second a lap for Lucas Moody, not counting in lapped cars and actually passing Cale Davidson. We know Cale Davidson, a very aggressive driver, a very solid driver behind the wheel. He's not second in points for nothing. So even if Moody can get to Davidson, No guarantee that he'll make the pass. Right now, the gap 9 seconds. We'll see if it can close down as we approach just 10 laps to go in this season. Been a phenomenal one. I'm not going to try not to get too sentimental about it. If I sound choked up, I swear I'm not. It's just my voice because I've been talking for the past couple of hours, so I do apologize for that. But Wyatt Burton did a little bit of battle there with the 13. Mentioned that he got his tires heated up. Keegan Kallick has the run, dives to the inside, side by side in turn 1. Give it pretty easily to Kallick. No real opportunity there for Burton to pull the crossover. We mentioned a little bit earlier, there are different ways to drive the alternate tires. Pushing them super hard, which is what Moody did to, maintain that gap on Whitlock and what he's going to do now. Meanwhile, Keegan Kallick, I think, saved him a little bit, maintained some of that grip throughout the run, and off track there for Keegan. Shouldn't be an immediate penalty, but he's got Wyatt Burton all over him, slowed him down just a little bit, getting on those curbs, put the left side tires on the curb, upset the car a little bit, let Burton close right back up into this one. Burton may have hot tires, but he is not going to give up. Really good run here through the intersection. But Kallick closes the door on corner exit, takes the preferred groove all the way deep into the hairpin. Now into the switchback, and this off into turn 11, turn 12. And they're going to make it through there cleanly. Now Kallick opening up about 2 seconds. Adam Willoughby. I don't even have to say what school he goes to. Driver from Clemson University goes around. I'm going to put the mortgage next car to spin is going to be Thomas Crump. As Crump actually moves into the 7th spot, Wyatt Burton swings it into pit road, realized that he killed those tires. Don't know if there was a fuel number in there as well, but Wyatt Burton should have been okay on gas. Could be a tire play. I mean, he saw what Lucas Moody is doing. Last couple of laps, though, Moody only chopped 1 second off of the gap up to Cale Davidson. As Wyatt Burton is actually going to lose a lap here. This will drop him all the way back into the 10th position. Shouldn't see Aiken Lamar anywhere in the picture there, so I don't think Burton really worried about losing any actual positions here. But the fact that he can see the leader, usually what you want right here, not what he wants. There's Aiken Lamar, completely different part of the racetrack than Wyatt Burton. So Burton should at least be able to hold on to a top 10. Having fresh tires, he might be able to go up there and catch Dylan Beatty and Nick Henley. So that'll be a battle to keep an eye on. But the gap between Davidson and Moody, still 10 seconds. The gap between Whitlock and Davidson, still 3. So don't think the tire's going to change much there. There's the pretty strung out right now. Voigt looking to get out of the way of the lap car. Lucas Moody. Again, Moody coming on fresh tires. And a lot of pace in that 13 car. I think if he might be beating himself up a little bit if he can't grab a podium out of this one. He had a really, really good run going. Don't know if he wasn't going to be able to make it on gas here. Oh, there's contact there. Just before we thought that it had gotten as worse as it was going to get for Moody, and he was going to be able to cruise around, contact with Voigt. Although I think that was a little bit of a Phantom 4X. Game decided that it didn't want to damage Lucas Moody. Realized that car was painted red and not orange. Decided to give him a pass, and Lucas Moody clears lap car. Voigt continues to set his sights on the car ahead. Cale Davidson teammate still for 10 seconds up the road. Even though no damage to Lucas Moody's car, that incident still slows him down just a little bit. And yeah, it does give him some incident points. So Moody just trying to lay down some lap time now. Now it might be going into a little bit of defensive mode. If he thinks he's not going to be able to catch those leaders, maybe just, keep the car clean, run it down, stay in front of Keegan Kallick. How about this? A couple of his teammates, Nick Henley, Dylan Beatty, both of those Ball State cars, they are on pit road now. A little bit of strategy late. Again, I thought they were good on fuel. They went 22 laps on the first stint. In fact, we saw some drivers make it to 23 or 24. So they shouldn't really have had an issue if they come in any later than lap 41. But again, could be tires. Dylan Beatty going to cycle out to the 11th spot. Nick Henley comes out right around Aiken Lamar. So we'll see. That battle will be for position. Howard Community College, Ball State going at it. You can see Lamar's on the left side of your screen on the push to pass. Being pulled by producer Christian. Somebody else did get a black flag. It was Jacob Dick, 22 from Ball State University. Not really a great run for that 22 car, unfortunately. Been caught up in a couple incidents. Back in 18th, 2 laps down. He is now forced to serve a drive-through as well. So all those drivers that just pit Henley and Beatty, they'll cycle out 1 lap down behind Wyatt Burton. Burton has gotten around a leaf. So he sits last car on the lead lap. Here's Jacob Dick serving his drive-through. His teammate Alif let Burton by. So Burton in the 8th spot. Last car on the lead lap. There's Burton, and there is Alif. Taking a look here, that is the virtual R. Muhammad Alif. That is what the man, the myth, and the legend looks like in the game. Coming up on 5 laps to go. He's put up a dominant performance once again, nearly 25 seconds on Jake Cummings. Cummings, a very respectable driver in his own right, so doing it against this field, as always, a very impressive feat. But Alif continues to make it look easy, keeping a steady wheel, keeping a fast car. Ryan Whitlock has been able to hold on to the 3rd spot. He's lost no time to Davidson or Moody. So if he can hang on for the next 5, it'll be another podium for Ryan Whitlock. 2 consecutive on left and right-hand turning courses, as he was, I believe, 3rd at the Chicago Street Course, coming off of his win in the Cup Series that same week. Nearly pulled off the double, but Alif and Davidson ran away with that one early. Whitlock had to settle for 3rd, and he's going to settle for 3rd here again. 40 seconds back of Alif. Cale Davidson, 43 back of Alif, and again, he's maintained the gap back to his teammate Moody. Don't think we'll see anybody throw it down pit road, but Burton, Henley, and Beatty at the end of the top 10, they have surprised me. Dylan Beatty got around Aiken Lamar and was able to get that spot, hang on to the top 10 for the time being. Top 10 for Beatty would be a good run. Top 10 for Nick Henley would be a good run as well. Not sure how often that 64 car's been up here. There's a huge slide out of Lucas Moody. Right as we cut away, I saw him laying down tread marks. Certainly he pushed the car really hard. Not much to say about it, but we'll get another look at it here. Look at that. That is the very definition of threshold braking. That car, if it had been even 1 more degree of rotation going around, it would have been in the wall, and honestly kind of an embarrassing end to the day for Lucas Moody, but keeps it straight. Honestly makes a really, really quality save and keeps the 13 car pointed in the right direction. If he can do that for 3 more laps, it'll be a top 5 for Lucas Moody, and that should help him maintain top 10 in the driver's standings. After this one, marathon here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, virtual Interlagos Speedway. The very last time, I want to thank you all for watching. No sponsor for this race. If you know anybody who be interested in sponsoring a CIL race, the link to join our Discord is in the description, along with all of our social medias. We're constantly pushing out some good content. We're going to have some summer series The CIL will continue this summer with Season 13, but tonight wraps the end of Season 12, the 6th iteration of the Formula College World Championship and the 12th iteration of the CIL overall. And I've been happy to bring you the coverage since the drop of the green back in Road America, all the way back in January. Feels like a long time ago. But happy to bring you guys coverage, and might be doing it again next season. So if you enjoyed this, you're not going to want to miss any of our summer series, or when the CIL returns for Season 14, the Formula College World Championship will return as well. And it's going to be plenty more of the same. We saw some great finishes on ovals, some great battles here on the road courses, certainly a lot of highlight moments that you had to see them to believe them. And being there live made it a lot better. So same place, same YouTube channel, and I believe the same time, Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central. That is 9 p.m. Eastern, a little bit late, but no better way to spend your Wednesday night than with the best of the best in Formula College virtual IndyCar racing, representing your school's colors. If you think you have what it takes, go ahead and you're free to join, free to sign up. Discord is free. And we will accept anybody with any sort of simulator racing experience. If you want to find more information about the CIL, head on over to collegiateiRacingLeague.com. That is collegiateiRacingLeague.com to find live season standings, race results, links to signing up, and more announcements about schedules, as well as cool other features put together by one of our admins, Christian Hill. Honestly, looks pretty good, so go ahead and check that out. A lot going on behind the scenes, a lot of exciting stuff, a little bit of change going on across the board, but for the most part, the racing action will stay the same. And if not, it's only going to get better. So we round out the top 10 here, and we see Wyatt Burton. It's a pretty good gap back to the next car's 4 position. The car immediately behind him is leader Muhammad Alif. Burton locks it up a little bit, grabs some of the marbles. Not at all what Alif wants to see, so Burton going to get out of the way, and he will go 1 lap down, likely finish this race as the first car 1 lap down. Not the day that Burton wanted to have. We talk about his oval racing prowess, but he's been really good on the road courses all season. A number of top 5s turning left and right. Fortunately, one of those was not in the cards. Forced to make a 3rd pit stop, and that dropped him back to the 8th position. Was running just a little bit better than that, but will be scored there. Just ahead of him, coming out of the final turn for the penultimate time, it is Muhammad Alif. Came into this race with the championship locked up. He's won the student championship, the overall championship, won the championship last year, and was a heavy contributing factor for the Ball State school title, both on this side and the Collegiate Cup Series side of things, as well as the Collegiate Sports Car Challenge. So Muhammad Alif been doing a lot this season, been very busy, but he has been putting up results in every car that he has run in. None more prolific than this Formula College World Championship. If he can keep the wheel straight for just another 1.5 miles, Muhammad Alif will bring it home in one piece, out on the highest note you can end on. A race win, a championship win, and an opportunity to burn it down with your teammates. Muhammad Alif putting on clinics all season long, and even though all he had to do was take the green flag to win the championship, he went out and overachieved. Winning this race looks like it's going to be by about 28 seconds through 13, 14, and he will drop low to run through turn 15. Coming out of the corner for the final time, Muhammad Alif wins the Brazilian Grand Prix, and with it, he is your Season 6 Formula College World Champion. He does it in dominating fashion, 30 seconds over Jake Cummings, lapping Wyatt Burton, Ben Fiore, and other very solid drivers. Muhammad Alif showing why he's the champion, even after he's already been given the title. Jake Cummings should bring it home in the 2nd spot. Ryan Whitlock should round out the podium, so excited to interview that. And it looks like I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but a Clemson driver will have won something in the Formula College World Championship. If Thomas Crump can hang on for another half lap, he will be the highest finishing alumni driver in this way. Beat Aiken Lamar by about 40 seconds for that honor. So we'll have those interviews coming to you live. Of course, Muhammad Alif will talk to him about both his championship and his race win. You're not going to want to miss it as we break it down and give you a little bit more details about what to look forward to coming in the future Summer Series, the future of the Formula College World Championship, and of course, breaking down this season on the whole. I've kind of covered it as it's gone along myself. All my co-commentators want to give them a shout out. Jackson Lambros, Ricky Paz, series director, of course, Edward Sanchez. He was the guy who said, you know what, I think we could put Cade in the booth. And I don't know if he thinks it worked out for him, but I've certainly enjoyed my time up here. Of course, Connor Bingle, Marlo Duncan, and Connor Zabogian. Called a lot of races with those guys and enjoyed every single one of them. So to everybody who's given a hand up here in the booth and doing this behind the scenes, of course, Ricky Paz put together the schedule, so good job on his part. And of course, Lee Kane doing it behind the scenes, producing for tonight. We've also had some help from Matthew Nordberg and Christian Hill, so want to give those guys shout outs as well. A little bit of roll credits here as Muhammad Alif parks it right on the line, just alongside his teammates Dylan Beatty, Nick Henley, Jacob Dick, and Cale Davidson. They are going to burn it down here at Interlagos. 30.2 seconds for Muhammad Alif. Cale Davidson locks up second in the point standings with another top 5. Here comes Lucas Moody. Looks like he's gone ahead and knocked the wings off of that car. You don't need him. The less downforce for burnouts, the better. And they are going to put on a smoke show here on the front stretch of the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. And they will do it, having dominated the race. 4 of the top 9, make it 5 of the top 10 were all from Ball State. The only one who missed it was Jacob Dick, who had a little bit of a rough race in the early going. There's Cale Davidson doing a little bit of a jump, and they are going to burn it down. But 5 in the top 10. It was just like this at the end of last year. The wall of balls seemed impenetrable. And they have gone ahead and rebuilt the wall, doing it here today. We'll go ahead and get some interviews kicked off here. Started off with your third place finisher. You rolling the race off in third. We're going to bring in the booth Mr. Ryan Whitlock. Coach Whitlock, congratulations. Second consecutive road course podium. Talk to me a little bit just about that race.
That race was long and it was tough. And I probably need to wash the cushions on my sim rig seat now.
I definitely agree with the first 2 parts of that for me. Not so much the third part, but I'm not going to ask why you need to clean it, but thanks for sharing. I do want to ask about the tires. It seems like
I'm an athlete sweat, Cade. Anyways.
Okay. There were a couple of moments there where it might have been for something else, but no. I want to ask about the tires. Felt like the alternates were able to hang on just a little bit if you drove them the right way. What did you feel in those 2 different tire compounds?
The track started really, really hot. Like, I think it was pushing 120 at the start of the race, and it cooled down to like 105 by the time we finished. And also the track took on rubber. So I think the alts, they actually felt like garbage for the first stint. I mean, they got that good, 3 laps, and then towards the end they fell off. I actually think the alternates became the preferred tire by the end of the race just because of track conditions. But for stint 2, primaries were definitely the right choice.
Well, definitely fun to see you run up there in the top 3. Great run on Monday at Auto Club, following it up with another top 5, ending the season on the hot streak. Do you think you got a little bit of momentum for next season? Or going into the summer, we are not done with the CIL until the fall. We're starting up for the summer here, so a little momentum going into that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, over the summer, we're gonna take a month off for May, partially because I'm out of town for the entire month. But we're starting a Supercars series on Wednesday nights, same time FC usually runs. That will be the Collegiate iRacing League's official summer offering. Gonna be doing that. It's gonna be 20-minute races, 2 races with the top 12 finishing order in race 1, flipping for race 2. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Hectic. Looking forward to that. I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot. As far as the fall goes, I may or may not have doubled my class course load for the fall compared to this semester, so you might not actually see me all that much, but only time will tell.
Well, we'll be excited to see as much as you can, definitely ending on a high note. We'll see, not sure exactly yet if those summer series are going to be broadcast in any way or not. I'm thinking likely no. But still pretty good amount of fun here in the Collegiate iRacing. I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to run a couple of those Supercars races. But Ryan, before we let you go, yeah, he's going to make me. But before we let you go, here, anybody you want to shout out?
Want to shout out you and Lee Kane for commentating and producing this finale. I want to shout out the rest of the admin team with the Collegiate iRacing League. I think this season as a whole was much better and less controversial than last season. Not without controversy, of course. It wouldn't be a racing league full of sweaty college nerds without a little bit of controversy over stuff that doesn't really matter. But, that's how it is. I think as a whole, the season went a lot better. I think Season 2 of FC being in the IndyCar was great. So definitely shout out to the whole admin team. Want to shout out Charger Motorsports, UAH Motorsports team. We are not just a sim racing team, we're a rear racing team. Hopefully, things can actually pick up for us over the summer. Do a little bit more autocross, do a little bit more design work on our future project. And I want to shout out Orange Wheel Racing for being a lot of fun to race with. And Cale Davidson for being a lot of fun to race with. I'll see you in like 2 weeks, Cale. That's all.
All right, that is Ryan Whitlock, P3. Really good run there, bottom rung of the podium, but able to bring it home top 5 from Interlagos. Coming up next, we'll bring in second place in the booth. We'll work our way up. Mr. Jake Cummings from Converse University. Jake, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
That one seemed like a long one. It was long in the booth. Just talked to Ryan. He was exhausted. How are you feeling?
Oh, yeah, man. I ran like 2 miles earlier today. My apartment right now is 77 degrees, and I'm sweating more now than when I was running. So, yeah, it was pretty tough.
How'd your run go? Was it as good as that? I mean, that was a really solid race out there. Did you run as fast as you drove?
I ran about 6 miles an hour, so probably not. But yeah, no, it was. I didn't think it would go this well for me because I practiced a little earlier today just to make sure I would know what I was doing, but I didn't do the official practice I was in this session at all because I was doing the Racing with Raja Invitational. I did like my heat and the first 10 laps of the feature and then dipped to do this. So I was just wanting to make sure I had fun here tonight, and it ended up with the fuel saving and stuff being a really calm and low stress race. So I was happy with it. The fuel saving wasn't really as hard as I thought it was going to be, and it kind of helped the tires, honestly, just with how much they were wearing and how high the track temperature was. So yeah, it's really awesome to finish the season out with second place for sure.
It was definitely a good run to watch, really clean run there. You mentioned the fuel saving. We kind of talked about the fuel window being right around that 22 to 23 mark. Do you have to save a little bit to get there?
Yeah, definitely. I think you can only go about 20 if you don't save at all. And it was honestly a dream to be behind Ryan for most of that first stint because it made fuel saving so much easier. I think starting on the alts with a leaf ahead of us on the primes was also the move because we were able to stick in his slipstream for the first like 6-7 laps or whatever, and then I was just able to use Ryan. So I built an advantage over him, and he was really slow towards the end, just having to save more fuel than me, I guess, or having to work harder to save that fuel. So I was able to get by him, get the gap, and then just had a cleaner second and first part of the third stint. Probably wasn't the best idea to go to the alts for the third stint. I think the primaries were a little better overall, but I wanted to make sure that no one like did the alts when I did the primes and then caught up to me and then had my draft. So it was really fun in the end to have the gap and just kind of chill in the last race of the season, not wanting to leave for the summer with any sort of stress on the mind about, oh, I wish I did this differently in this race. It was just like a no major mistake race and got the maximum result with the Leaf being a Leaf. So yeah, pretty great.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and thanks for putting on a show all season. It's been fun to watch, and we're looking forward to next year. So, for the last
Hey.
time this year, anybody want to shout out?
Well, I'll say shout out to you guys. You guys are the ones putting on the show, really.
Well, Ryan
They
already
were.
shouted us out. We're already covered up here. I mean,
Oh, well, never mind. Yeah, screw you guys. Yeah, no, but thank you very much. I'm sure you guys have had quite a bit of fun with it, and yeah, I look forward to catching up because I've been really busy, haven't been able to watch them recently, but I look forward to catching up over the summer for sure. And I'll thank my fiance. We're actually getting married July 30th, so that's pretty exciting.
congratulations.
Yeah, I'll share the live stream with you guys. Yeah. Otherwise, thanks to Converse Esports for all that they do for me, and it's been a really successful first year with them. Can't wait for year 2 in the fall. Really looking forward to it. Might be in person with them, racing from like their esports facility. That would be fun. And otherwise, yeah, thank Jesus Christ. I'll thank all my sponsors, Tech Sport Racing, of course, bridging that gap from sim to reality, and I guess that's it. Yep, thanks to everyone who made this possible this season, and thanks to everyone who was very clean and respectful on the track tonight.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a great summer, and we'll see you next season.
See ya. Bye-bye.
All right. That's Jake Cummings finishing second runner-up to this man who will bring in the booth. And now our Muhammad Alif, 7-time race winner this year, if I am correct. I don't know. I've started to lose count, but Leaf, you got a copy?
Yep.
Is this 7 or is this 8?
Well, if you ask that question to a Lewis Hamilton, then it's gonna say 8, but no, it's a 7. I think 6 was at the last road track, wherever that was.
I think
yeah.
6 might have been Chicago.
Yeah, so
Chicago
this should be
Street.
7. Yep.
But no, it was another dominating performance. Another kind of seemed like just going by the book, save a little bit of fuel, hit that number, and then get on the right tire for the end. So talk to me about this season as a whole. There was a kind of a spot there about 3 races ago, super close between you and Kale, with that Michigan race still on the schedule. Talk to me about how you kind of put your head down, kept going through, and were able to build that big gap coming into this race.
I mean, the stewards had a lot of part to play because they took very good decisions, very nice decisions, which gave me a lot of motivation to push. So yeah, that kind of helped. Yeah, just put in decent hours and race clean from then on. Just that was the focus, just to dominate and bring the car home and bring the championship home. So yeah, that's kind of what kind of just happened. Just kind of locked in and brought the championship home.
Well, congratulations to you winning the overall championship as well as the student championship, and congratulations to Ball State as a whole for winning the school championship on this side. How does it feel to be part of that effort that's, not just one guy, but kind of an entire team bringing home that chip?
Yeah, I mean, it's years in the making. We've been really developing this team. All of us, other than Daniel and myself, are all walk-ons. So to have such a team to basically dominate the Collegiate iRacing League is pretty cool. Just kind of testament to all the hard work that we put in as a school and as a team. So yeah, big shout out to the guys for really carrying their weight and bringing pride to Ball State.
Well, there you have it. School from Indiana sweeps 3 of the 4 series offerings that we have. It's official tonight. So before we let you go, you gave them some shout outs there, a couple guys you worked with. Anybody else you want to thank for the effort you've put in this season? You can't thank us up here in the booth. Last 2 guys already did that. So
okay.
You got to think of some other names.
I'd like to thank Ricky Paz, who's the series director, for giving his best for this for this championship. I want to thank all my parents back home, for my family back home, the team here at Ball State. I think all of us, they're all on the road and oval side. Daniel Budespa was our sports psychologist. He's graduating this semester, so yeah, we're all gonna miss him. This clean sweep is actually dedicated to him. So for all his work that he's done for us.
Well, congratulations once again. Go celebrate for yourself, for your school. Ton of fun to watch, and looking forward to more in the future.
Thank you. See you guys.
And we now get one more to bring in here, your highest alumni finisher from that race. Can't believe it, but he's from Clemson. Mr. Thomas Crump, I believe, brings it home in 7th, your highest finishing alumni. Thomas, you got a copy?
Yes. Hello.
How does it feel? You kind of came into this season about halfway through, a little bit of an unknown, at least to myself, able to work your way up and kind of finally put yourself in an interview position.
Yeah, I'd been away from the CIL for a couple of years, maybe a little bit more. Came back. OWR guys were super welcoming, and I picked up the IndyCar I think 2 days before the Montreal race, and I'm in love with this car. So ending on this note, yeah, it's P7, but alumni win is fun to say. So ending on this note is really, really fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely enjoy it. It's been a spot that's really been snatched up by Clint Halterman, so you might want to talk to Clint about being a little bit of a alumni hog. But you've got up here. You definitely raced it out today. You had to beat some good guys. You know, there were still some really solid alumni in the field. I want to ask about traffic. How was it working through the field? Because it felt like you had a couple really good passing zones in that first sector of the track, but from there, it was very tight, very difficult to make moves.
Yeah, Interlagos is not my best track, and so I figured, especially with the kind of the fuel-saving race that we're faced with, I was going to go a little easy on that front. I don't have a lot of wheel-to-wheel experience here, especially, so I found myself behind a couple of guys in front of me, and I just thought, all right, just crank the map up and hang out and try and drag my stints out a few laps longer, and did exactly that. Came out third stint, actually ahead of them already, and then they had to make a third stop anyway. So I didn't have a huge amount of wheel-to-wheel, especially in my first 2 stints, but I definitely think if this was a track I was more familiar with, and like you said, a track that wasn't so tight and so tricky in traffic and difficult to pass on, then I probably would not have been so patient. So that, yeah, definitely a factor.
Patience definitely seemed to pay off for you, and didn't pay off so much for everybody who wasn't patient. So definitely, yeah, for a long race, kind of a marathon race, definitely seemed to be the good approach, and definitely seemed to work out for you. Congrats on the top 10.
Thank you.
But before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out? We already had Ryan up here for OWR, but anybody else?
Oh, definitely the OWR guys come to mind first. I think getting back running with them again has been a lot of fun. Obviously been, keeping up with them the past few years, but haven't necessarily been active in CIL, but they got me up to speed with, who's who, learning the new cars, both the IndyCar and the short track car were completely unfamiliar to me, but I've been enjoying them a lot. Ryan's been great and helping me out get acclimated with these cars. And I'll probably shout out on a completely different note. I'll shout out my girlfriend as well for her patience with me staying up so late every night doing this.
Definitely, it definitely gets late up there on the East Coast. So I'll go ahead, let you go, let you get back to bed. Congratulations again, and hopefully see more of you next season.
Oh yeah, definitely. I plan on it, and thank you guys so much for organizing and putting in all the work so that we can all have fun and have a good show.
No problem. That is Thomas Crump, finishes P7 on the day, your top alumni finisher. And with that, we now have a quick word announcement from our social media director, Edward Sanchez, joining us up here in the booth. Edward, you got me?
Yes, Edward Sanchez is in the booth for the last time of the season. See what I did there? First of all, I want to say a big congratulations to Cade and to Lee. I mean, y'all were just killing it, taking up the mantle this semester. So I hope you guys watching at home, if you guys enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button. And can we get WKW Lee in the chat? Because honestly, FC, they're the face of FC. I mean, I used to be the face of FC. I used to be with Sky. Oh, we caught him lacking mid water break. Wow, that's the producer right there doing that on purpose.
Don't put the WKs. I just talk about the cars, man. Lee's
No,
the one who's doing all the hard work
exactly. That's
He's
why I
got the
said W.
graphics.
That's why I said W Lee WK.
We need the W Lees.
But-
He's the one putting in the hard work with all the hardware. I just sit here and yap about cars that I know nothing about. I'm an Ovaltine guy. I'm a NASCAR guy. I think we need to turn left and do it in Talladega and Daytona.
Okay. Save it for the Monday broadcast. Save it for the Monday broadcast. All I will say is, for everybody watching, big congratulations to Cade and Lee for taking up FC. This series really wouldn't be a thing without them. They stepped up when no one else really could. So big congrats to them. So I'm just glad that the new face of FC is in good hands. Like I said, when I first signed off for my kind of retirement. But enough about the yappy, the sapping, all the sad talk about this season's kind of concluding over with this race. Folks, if you are tuning in still, next week, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, yours truly, will be hosting the first ever broadcasted CIL banquet. It is a now kind of a staple and a custom in which what we are doing is celebrating the achievements of the drivers in this current season, as well as future news, cool little things about what's going to happen in the CIL and for the next fall semester. So if any of y'all are tuned in and are part of the Discord, you guys can join. More details will be given out in the announcements. If any of y'all are not in the Discord but would like to still check it out, potentially, and that's why I say please tune into our socials. Follow us on College iRacing on Twitter and Instagram, in which we will be announcing, I believe it should be, that I will be live on the Twitch channel. We won't be streaming on the YouTube channel for various reasons. We'll be streaming on the Twitch Collegiate iRacing League channel. That's been a little bit inactive, but we'll be putting it out there. So if you guys have or if you guys feel like this season is over too soon, well, do not fret anymore, because we have one more cool thing popping up. And apart from that, I'd like to say thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Lee, for all the hard work this semester. Truly, it's been amazing, and obviously, it's been an honor to be able to come back here and there to help out and to be able to voice my my lovely voice over the airwaves. And also shout out to Cade for letting me hijack this broadcast to share these wonderful news about CIL and our future community events. That being said, as the CIL social media director, Edward Sanchez, thank you so much for everybody tuning in every week in and out. Thank you for the likes and comments on the Instagram stories, on the Twitter posts, on everywhere, really. It really does mean a lot. We've been recently doing with the race winner posts and everything. It's been tremendous. And all of y'all have been amazing fans, and really CIL wouldn't be anywhere close without y'all, the viewers. And so, like I said, it's been a real one. Thank you guys for making season 12 special for me. Technically, this is CIL FC season 6 wrapping up. And yeah, Cade, you get to, well, go ahead. I mean, there's no more weeks up ahead. Like, what are we looking forward to? The only thing is the CIL banquet, huh?
Yeah, next up, that CIL banquet's going to be a great place to get some announcements. We talked about the summer series, of course, but that FC series, it's going to be returning in the fall. I think last week of August, sometime in August. I don't know, because the banquet hasn't happened yet, and the banquet is when all of that is going to be announced. So as soon as we know,
no spoils.
I know I can't spoil it. I don't know what's going to happen. They don't tell me things. They just say, "Hey,
well,
we're ready."
Let me throw in some crumbs. Let me throw in some crumbs, because for the 14 viewers still watching, let me make a little bit of a special world premiere. CIL Cup will be returning in the fall. CIL FC will be returning in the fall, and CIL CSC will be returning in the fall. More announcements will be coming soon. I know, right? Huge news. Who would have not seen that coming? Anyways, Cade, go ahead. Is there anything else?
we got to break down the results from this season. Final point standings are in. So
Who won?
that's
Who
exciting.
won?
Who won? Were you not paying attention? Okay, who do you think won? It was a road
The
course.
championship. No, I'm talking about the championship.
Yeah, Ar Muhammad Ali got it dominated, got it by about 70 points. So, round 2, Ar Muhammad Ali.
What about P2 and P3?
That remains to be seen. We have yet to announce that. I was going to, and then you hijacked the broadcast, and now here we are. So if you would let me get on with my thing, we'll be able to talk about it.
Go ahead.
Here we go. All right. Cale Davidson, P2, Clint Halterman, P3, Wyatt Burton, Jake Cummings, the rest of the top 5. Ben Fiore, Ryan Whitlock, Aiken Lamar, Lucas Moody, and Keegan Kallick round out the top 10. I believe that is updated for today. So, with that being said, Edward, listen to this stat line. This is Ar Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
10 poles,
Okay.
7 wins,
Okay.
9 podiums, 11 top 10s. That's in 15 races.
Ooh. 7 wins, just like 7 world time champion Lewis Hamilton. A Leaf is a big fan of Lewis Hamilton, so to get 7 wins, just like his idol, is pretty cool.
All right. With that being said, Edward, if you don't have anything else, then we'll go ahead, break down the results, break down the race, and probably get to bed because it's past 11 on the East Coast. I know that's late.
Go ahead, Cade. So I'll say my goodbyes. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Ricky is in. He's lurking in the background. So good luck, Cade. Watch out, Cade. Take care.
I'll keep my eyes in the back of my head, but no, it's been a huge honor to run it this season. I appreciate all the nice things from Edward and all the nice things from y'all. It's been a really fun deal, and I would happily do it again. Again, the FC series will be happening, season 14 of CIL, season 7 of Formula College specifically. That'll be happening next August to September, running all the way to the end of the semester. So super happy about that. This race, however, just wrapped up. Ar Muhammad Ali gets it over Jake Cummings from Converse University. Ryan Whitlock from UAH finishes 3rd. Cale Davidson and Lucas Moody, both from BSU, round out the top 5. Then it's Keegan Kallick, your Rookie of the Year from St. Clair College. Thomas Crump from Clemson, mentioned him last car on the lead lap. Wyatt Burton from Shrine finishes P8. And rounding out the top 10, it's Nick Henley and Dylan Beatty, also from Ball State. Finished 11th, Aiken Lamar from Howard Community College. Just behind him, another Clemson alum, Adam Willoughby, finishes 1 lap down. Grant Schiller, the 45 from St. Clair College, one of his better finishes of the season. Ricky Paz, 14th from ECU. Andrew Voigt, 15th. Ben Fiore, 16th. Alex Finity, 17th. Andrew Burrell, 18th. Jacob Dick, 19th. And Jason Wallet from Drexel rounds out the top 20. 21st, Carson Wallers from Paul Smith College. Adrian Tubakovic, 22nd. Drew Williams from Clemson, 23rd. And Nick Stockner from 24th rounds out the field. Caden Hughes and Marlo Duncan, unfortunately, not able to take the green flag. Duncan was having technical issues. Hughes did not hit the lap requirement. And then, of course, Lee Kane, not out on track. He was behind the scenes. So that just about wraps it up here from Sao Paulo. Mentioned Ar Muhammad Ali, Cale Davidson, Clint Halterman, officially your podium for the final result. There's not really any sort of penalty or anything that's going to change that. So congratulations to those 3 drivers. They will be likely recognized for their achievement in the banquet next Wednesday, if you do want to tune into that. Clint Halterman, unable to make it tonight. Weren't able to get him for an interview, but he is officially your alumni champion. So congratulations to Halterman. Had that locked up last week at Michigan. We talked a little bit about it, but not even had to show up to Interlagos to keep that locked down. So Clint Halterman, your alumni champion, won it for the Cup Series, and he has won it for the FC Series as well. So I think you've heard enough of my voice for the last about 2.5 hours. I've certainly used it all up. But we appreciate you all for watching. You are the ones who make these broadcasts really something. We wouldn't really race as aggressively as we do. We wouldn't put all of this on if there wasn't somebody to watch. So thank you so much for myself, producer Lee Kane, all of the admins who work behind the scenes, all of our stewards, all of our drivers, and everyone else who is part of the Collegiate iRacing League. I've been your host, Cade Corbin, and